Namo for, Namo Fa, Namo Sing. Homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha, Amitofo. So welcome to you all again to continue on the booklet Keeping the Earth of Light, or 48 Methods to Nianfo. We began with the introduction and then the three first parts of the series, which was really telling us the connection between mind, speech and body. And it is something we already know. What's interesting is that this text is about Pure Land and also about Chan, and it is totally Pure Land and totally Chan. And so we had seen the question from a more Pure Land and Chan aspect. Today we will begin with the practical technique, very practical, very simple. The first part of the booklet is comprised of first the three parts that we've seen, body, mind and speech, and then of 6 different ways of practicing Buddha recitation. The 3 first ones that we will try to see today are the exoteric ways of practicing, and then there are 6 more esoteric ways of practicing. What is very interesting with Pure Land and Amitabha is that it is at the crossroads of different traditions and really at the core of Mahayana, and then also at the core of Mantrayana or Vajrayana. So it's very interesting because when you practice it sincerely, it doesn't matter, Chan, Mahayana, Vajrayana, just practice. But it gives something very useful to actually make a link with our other brothers. So that being said, let's dwell into the 4th section and the first section of the practical tools. The first one we will see today, which is Buddha recitation with a rosary, generally called Mala in Sanskrit. In Chinese generally it's Nenzu. In Japanese there are different versions, Nenju or Juzu, which actually means beads for counting or beads to be mindful, which these kind of things are very elaborate ones. These ones are the simplest ones. So this is what we are talking about, using something material, something very practical to practice. And you might say, okay, I don't need it, I'm a very intellectual, I'm a Westerner, don't need that stuff. Well, they are made for a purpose. And there are times where they are very needy, where they are very helpful, and actually we will see from the most gross, down to earth, material way of practicing to the most subtle. We will see reciting with a rosary, reciting out loud, and reciting in a low voice. Still out loud, but in a low voice. These are really the most exoteric part of it. So, the text says, with this method, the rosary is fingered with each recitation of the Buddha's name. The words Amitabha, Amitofo, or Kuan Yin, or whatever the name you're saying, I don't know, or just don't know, may be recited rather than the long formula. We may, for example, mean Namo Amitofo or Namo Amida Butsu for those, or any other name. For example, for Kuan Yin, you may say Kuan Yin instead of a long formula of Kuan Yin like Lamo, Namo, Dashi, Daopei, Kuan Shui Yin Posa. That's a very long form. Kuan Yin is very short, and it's better when you actually use the recitation, especially into formal sitting. So, it is very easy to achieve single-mindedness with the short formula. So that's the whole point of the practice on the first time, to establish a certain kind of concentration which is rather single-minded, rather focused on a single point. That's the first part of it. And then we'll open it, of course. But first, be able to concentrate on a single point. Not on what we've got to do, on what we've done, on the beautiful ass of the woman in front of you, on what we would eat or whatever. No, just on one thing, Buddha's name, which is your own name. So, it is really about a sense of harmony, unity, through concentration. To be one with the name. And for that you can finger the Rosary upon the first, on the third syllable of the word Amitabha. What that says is, choose a way to do it. Generally, for example, if you recite Amitabha, choose the first Ha, or choose something else. But once you choose, do it, because we know ourselves. We'll change name and techniques, and then we won't advance, because it can always be better, and it is not good enough. And that's actually ourselves trying to put, trying to put us away of the practice, because we are afraid of it, because we are afraid of the light it can shine on our habits and their consequences. But whichever you decide, the text says, you should stick to it and make no mistakes. This is the method for using the Rosary, the Nyan, the, and the. So, if you put it in your lap, or you can use it just with one hand, generally on the art, or just depending. If you use it in your lap, the traditional way is either, if you have a very long one, to actually take them on both parts and just do that way, and then you can go on and on and on and on, and doing on your lap, and then you don't have to stop, because it just goes on and on and on and on. Okay, so that's really a detail. Do as you want. Of course, you're not obliged to use beads, but you can, even in a group setting. If someone wants to use these beads very discreetly on his lap, that's wonderful. When I'm very, very tired, I do it. There is another trick, actually. If you are walking, for example, to count beads without beads, and this is with your hands, the thing is to use the intersection on your fingers as counting tables. And you will do this with your thumbs. So there are 4 intersections at each finger, and you use also the top of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 fingers, so you get 16 over there. And you just count like that at each time you say once. And then up, up, up. Yeah, I'm seeing it on video. So. And you can do that on your pocket, for example, when you don't want to use mala, and still keep focus. So the point of it is to be focused, concentrated with your mind on something, saying it internally, but also using your hands, your body, to fix it, to help you fix yourself in the practice. So that's really it. The next type of recitation is reciting out loud. So, when your mind, this is the text, when your mind is in a state of torpor, or when delusive thoughts arise unchecked, compose yourself and recite the Buddha's name aloud a few hundred times. I would say a few times, but if you really have time, a few hundred times is great, of course. You will then naturally experience a pure, peaceful state. So what this is saying to us is that when delusive thoughts arise, when thoughts arrive and you drift and you don't have energy to actually do whatever with them, because it can be constructive. We aren't our own against thoughts per se. Sometimes there is a very creative part of letting the thoughts arrive, and particularly during night practice, when you do that in an intensive retreat and you continue it with night sitting, yazo or yaza in Japanese, very creative thoughts can rise. Anyway, then recite the Buddha's name out loud. When you don't have that energy, recite out loud. And what this is doing, especially because in a way or another it is doing with the body upright, either standing or walking. Buddha recitation often done walking, or on the cushion, but in an upright posture. And when you are in an upright posture, either standing or on your knees or on the cushion, and you chant, you actually launch the machine, just like we do when we do an healing breath. We launch the machine of breath very profoundly, really. An inner breath is really launched very profoundly, and that actually gives us strength and the clarity of body, and then the clarity of mind. The text goes on trying to tell us why these delusive thoughts come. They say, this is because the faculty of hearing. We will see that the faculty of hearing is essential in our practice. It is essential in the practice of recitation. It is essential in the practice of Kuan Yin, Huatu, of just hearing. So the faculty of hearing is very keen, and therefore people are easily influenced by the external factors which disturb the mind and lead to errant, delusive thoughts. Thus, you need to recite aloud to control the faculty of hearing and enlighten the mind. So this is another kind of reciting out loud. First you were saying, okay, there are delusive thoughts, and you will recite it. Inner chi, the machine of breath, will be launched, and concentration will be fixed, will be founded. Your recitation will be concentrated. You will concentrate in recitation, true recitation. You see what I mean. The second part is on the faculty of hearing. Really, it's another step. It's okay. You have single-mindedness concentration, and that means you are fully saying the words. Now it is really about to control the faculty of hearing and enlighten mind. That's another part of the practice, which is just listening. This is a more open aspect of the practice. First single-minded and then very open. And really the point in Chinese Buddhism is a one practice of Zi and Guan, Shi and Kan, of Shamatha and Bhavana, of concentration and observation in harmony. So it goes on saying, when the mind hears only its own sounds, each sound in its totality, following the one before, all thoughts of right and wrong, what should be or not, what should or should not be done, are naturally abandoned. So when the mind hears only its own sounds, when you hear only what you are creating, what a beautiful process. The Buddha is born within you. You fully say it and fully listen to it. And it creates a golden circle, golden wheel of fully listening, fully reciting, fully listening, nourishing itself. And it's all based on the mind faculty of hearing, the hearing faculty. So there is a contemplation aspect to it too, and there is of course a link to the Hua, to who is hearing, to the famous Chan of hearing, the Kuan Yin Hua Tu of Chan hearing. And as we said, also chanting out loud has a link to moving in Qi. So there is a lot of things into chanting out loud. We could say, oh yeah, these are things for beginners. Chanting with the Nenzu, chanting out loud, okay, all basics. I will pass that part. Don't do it with that manual, because it's supposed that you go to each part and at least understand it, if not practice it. So last part, last is the 6th section of the first part, which is the last in the exoteric part that we will see today, which is very short really, which is about Buddha recitation in a low voice. They say when the mind is scattered, or when you're tired and weighted down by many pressing tasks, that's day-to-day life, I know that, don't you? You need not recite out loud or aloud. You need only to focus your mind and thoughts and recite carefully in a low voice. Okay? There is an intent that is different, okay? When you need the force of reciting out loud, of launching the machine, of you get to give back energy, that's what you need. Sometimes you need something more peaceful, more calm way to approach your mind. Okay? You will not practice, if you are serious, just for 1 or 2 weeks. That's not about a single matter. It's a whole war. It's a lifetime relationship with your mind and knowing yourself. Sometimes you will need something very pressing and you need tension, and sometimes you need something more peaceful. And that's what it is really. They say, only when your breath returns to normal, your spirits rise, and your mind is calm, at peace, and then you should recite out loud. Okay, this is interesting. So as I said, it is done for another type of practice, another intent. Sometimes you need a lot of energy right now, and sometimes you just can't. Your mind is too scattered. You yourself is too scattered. So in a way, can we practice when we don't put enough energy to it? And it's just saying that, okay, recite in a low voice, and when your breath, because if your mind is very scattered, your breath will be very short. That's really, breath, mind, body are so much related. So when the breath returns to normal, when it is profound, when it is in harmony, breath, mind, then your spirits rise. What is the spirit we are talking about right here? This spirit, when there is a profound breath, there is what we call yang qi, rising inner breath, which will rise and give force, and which is established through a deep, profound breathing. And then your mind is calm and at peace, and you've got the energy to actually recite out loud and launch a great machine. That's what it is. So it's kind of a medicine also. Recite with a low voice, calmly. Maybe when your qi has rise, when you have more energy through it, when your energy through being one with the Buddha, one with yourself. Because the Japanese history of Joriki and Tariki, force of the Buddha and my force, don't care about it. Buddha is fully me. I am fully Buddha. When that is established, you can recite out loud. So it's really a path of calm and peace. And as I said, the next type of recitation we will see to close this first part is diamond recitation, silent recitation, and regulating the breath, which is really breath meditation, based on Yenfo. Really esoteric practices, and these advices can be practiced by esoteric practitioners, and actually a lot of esoteric advices for reciting mantra are very like these ones. So that's all for today. It was a pleasure. See you soon. Amitofo.